Hey everybody, thanks for stopping by. I just want to give a quick thanks to everybody that's liked and subscribed so far. Just starting off with Star Wars Unlimited content, so certainly appreciate the support so far, the kind words that people have offered up, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for checking the videos out and giving me a chance. Certainly appreciate that very much. Now, today's deck, I wanted to go over Kazuda Red. And it does have a little bit of set 5 in it, but this deck I won a store showdown for set 4 with, and I've made a couple of changes since here. And we'll go over the things that I've changed in here, a little bit of strategy, reasons why to play this deck, and some of the choices in here that I've done, including some of the things that I did not put in here as well too. I'll discuss all that with you. We'll go over that. First off, Kazuda. Why should we play Kazuda? Well, one of the primary reasons is he deploys on 4, which is big. So whether you're going to put him on the ground as a 2/5, or you're going to put him on a ship as a 3/3 upgrade, either way, it's a very early deploy for this leader, and it's often difficult to beat. The other primary reason that we're playing this is there's a lot of units that have negative abilities on them that we're able to remove with the Kazuda action, which is, in this case, action exhaust. A friendly unit loses all abilities for this round. Take an extra action after this one. So how that reads, we'll start off with Cartel Turncoat. 2/3 in space, and it has a bounty where your opponent can draw a card if it's defeated. So with Kazuda, as an example, if we deploy this, we can activate our Kazuda. Then we can remove the abilities from this, which means the bounty is removed. And then we get an extra action. So we can either claim or attack, depending if this is exhausted or not, and we can go from there. One thing to note with Kazuda's ability, when it says a friendly unit loses all abilities for this round, that part of it is very important because that also implies that that unit can also not gain abilities. So it loses all of its abilities, cannot gain abilities as well too. It's part of its activation. It's part of what the card does. And that's the primary reason to use it, is because we've got so many overstated or negative downside cards that we're negating because of this leader. It's fast. It negates some of the cheaper units that have big stats. So I think it's very much worth it. As I said, I did pilot a Kaz Red deck to win a store showdown. Won my championship Devastator, finalist Devastator, top 4 Devastator, and top 8 Devastator. So it was also a grand opening for the store that day, and it's very cool, very fun experience. If you like aggressive decks, I recommend this. But on to the rest of the choices here. Heroic Sacrifice, I really wanted to get the explanation of Kazuda out of the way before we jumped into that. Normally what Heroic Sacrifice does is it lets you draw a card and then attack with a unit. It gets +2/+0. And then normally you would have to defeat that unit at the end of combat. If you have activated Kazuda's ability and played Heroic Sacrifice, then your unit won't gain the defeated at the end of phase text. It just gets +2/+0, you draw a card, and that's it. Similar with Trench Run, if you activate the Kazuda before you attack with something and then play the Trench Run after, you'll get +4/+0 on that unit and attack, and the damage trigger from Trench Run will never happen, meaning the last part of Trench Run where your opponent mills 2 and then your unit will take damage equal to the difference in those two costs, that part never happens. And again, that's if you've activated Kazuda on the unit that you plan to use this on before you play the card. Has to be before. If you do it after, it's not going to work the same. You're going to take the damage. So the key difference, key thing to note here is trench run. It's got to be a fighter, which is not a problem for this deck. The majority of the units in here are fighters, and yeah, really no problem with triggering it. Gives us really um, quick games potentially with trench run. +4/+0 for 1. It's pretty good. Anakin's Interceptor, 2/3 for 2 in space. The reason why we're including this is simple. It's a fighter, it's an early drop, and one of the sneaky things that I really like about this a lot is if your base has 15 or more damage, it gets +2/+0. And that did come into play multiple times during the tournament for myself during the store showdown, and it was an MVP. It was huge. We'll never cut that card. Black 1, again, similar reasons, 2 cost, 2/3. It's a fighter. We need a critical mass of fighters just to cover the trench run. Trench run is definitely very important in this deck for sure, but the +1/+0 does come up occasionally. If we put Kaz as a pilot on Black 1, we'll get that extra damage, or the Han. One of the cards in here that we're going to get to, the L3, I initially was going to do BB-8. I was concerned that I wouldn't have enough resistance units to trigger it regularly, so I decided to not put it in. But it's certainly a consideration for sure. Fireball, again, huge card for this deck. Absolutely imperative to have that with us. 2 cost, 3/3 with ambush. Pretty amazing stats for an early game unit. And if we activate Kazuda on this, this is a recurring theme, you're going to notice this comes up a lot, then Fireball's not going to take the 1 damage at when the regroup phase starts. So you don't have to worry about it taking a ping every turn. It's great. Very, very solid card. L3. So the reason why I have this in here is it's a 2 cost 2/2 with a shield. A little hedge for ground interactions if we need to. Occasionally it does come up with Sanctioner's Shuttle, where we can free our unit that was captured. It doesn't come up a ton, but it does once in a while with the popularity of that ship coming up. We've also got it in our sideboard. Cad Bane also captures, so I have run into weird situations where, especially with the new Kylo and testing this, Legal Authority gets our unit back that way too. Primarily it's a 2/2 with a shield for 2, and it's just a little hedge for the ground to start the game in case for some reason we don't get lucky enough to draw a ship. It's not going to happen. We've got a critical mass of 2 cost ships now. We've got 12, I believe, with the N1 that I put in here. So it's no longer a concern in that spot. I would definitely say is a flex spot at this point. Speaking of N1, I added that into the list not too long ago, and this is just a 3/2 for 2 in space. Solid rate for an aggressive deck. That's something that we're certainly looking at. Moving into the world of the 3 drops, Millennium Falcon is another one of the MVPs on here. 3 for a 3/4 that enters play ready is pretty fantastic. Kazuda being able to get rid of the Falcon tax on here is also good, where we activate Kazuda and then we give the Falcon, we make it lose abilities, so we no longer have to pay 1 at the start of our turn. So it's very helpful where we don't have to pay for that. We can stay aggressive. Red 5 is another one of the very impressive units in here. 3 for a 3/4. The stats aren't wild or anything, but they're good. And the 2 damage that you can get on attack on a damaged unit sometimes comes in clutch. There were a couple times where I took out a couple of really pesky things with the Red 5 just because a unit was damaged, was in space, or occasionally somebody playing a Han Red, for example, was able to finish a lot of things off with this, just it's a favorable matchup if you do run into Han Blue, the Force one, which I believe is still pretty popular as of recording this, I should say. Something I did not have in here for my set 4 was Sabin's Masterpiece, and I think I really overlooked this. Being able to ready or exhaust a resource is certainly great. A majority of our units are going to be cunning based, but also the damage mode, if we've got an aggression unit out, is also very good. So I think it's another fantastic option here. Stolen AT Hauler, another mandatory card, 3 cost for a 4/5. Very overstated unit for 3. It's got the downside when it's defeated that your opponent can play it from your discard pile for free. It's a big downside. So we have to be able to know how to play around this. Kazuda obviously disables that text, so you don't have to worry about your opponent being able to get it back. But just keep in mind where if this has got, let's say, 3 or 4 damage on it, and your opponent claims, there's a good likelihood that they'll be able to kill it before you'll be able to activate your Kazuda, meaning they've got the initiative and they would make the first action. So it's good. We do have Spare the Target, which is just after this. We'll skip ahead to that one next. And we're doing Spare the Target over Waylay just because Spare the Target has the heroism aspects, and that's going to tie into For a Cause, which is just before this one, kind of working our way backwards. If your opponent does somehow take control of your stolen AT Hauler by killing it and then playing it for free, we can Spare the Target, which will return it to our hand, and then we can play it again. The primary reason, as I said, for Spare the Target is the heroism, and that's for a cause I believe in, which I think everybody knows what this is, but for anybody who doesn't, we reveal the top 4 cards of our deck, and then we deal damage to our opponent's base for each heroism card that's revealed. One of the other nice things about this card is after we've done that, we can choose what cards we want to put back, and we can also discard cards and put them into our discard pile rather than putting them back on top. So you can also stack your deck as well with this. I was able to finish out 2 matches with this where it was very close and my opponent was able to gain control of the board and wipe out units, and For a Cause was enough reach for me to finish the game. Aztec Liberator Gunship is a good ambusher. I still consider this a flex spot. It's not super mandatory, it's just a hedge against units that we just need to take out in space. K2 is also, it's a flex spot. So I like the card. It's very good. 4/4/4/4 on the ground is great. But primarily we're doing this so it's a little bit to kind of keep up with the ground if we need to, but primarily we just want this to die so we can get the 3 damage in. We'd love to be able to get attacks in with this unit, the 4 damage, but primarily if we just can run it into something and get 3 damage, great. That's really what we're looking for. This is a good beater, 4 cost 4/4 with the damage built in. And the Han is just a surprise strike on a body. It can be played on the ground as a 4 or 5 ambush, which I have done in some games. It's not exactly great, but it's there if you need it. Sometimes you need it. Sideboard, I've changed up some. The only things that I really put in for the space game is the Sanctioner's Shuttle. Capturing something is obviously big right now. And I think that if you're running into something where you're just not winning the race, you just need a little bit of an edge, whether it's ground or space, just something to clear the way a little bit, it's a great card to do that with. Just remember, if you bring this card in, it's going to bring down your For a Cause hits. Just a minor thing to keep track of. I brought in War Juggernaut as just a hedge for a lot of weenie decks, a lot of smaller unit decks. something like the Vader deck, we can kill all their ties at once with this. So it's a good unit for sure. And also we can put pilots onto a ground unit, which is great. Contracted Hunter. This is just a hedge for ground. 3 cost 4/4 ambush, overstatted. It does defeat itself at the end of turn, which we can disable with the Kazuda leader. Cassian is a good way to finish the game off if you're very close and you need just a little bit of extra oomph to finish the game off with. You could bring in the Cassian to do that. Wait for your opponent to claim. You pay your 5, bring Cassian out, attack for 3, finish the game. You could very easily switch the L3s out for the Cassians if you wanted. I don't think that would be a big problem. I did have them in there for some time, and I just recently changed that. But I think it's still good, and I want to keep them in the sideboard. And the Spec Force Soldier is primarily just to make something loose. Sentinel, if something is giving us a big problem and we just need to bypass the Sentinel, this takes care of it. One thing to note is on occasion with this leader, if you blank a ship's ability and then you pilot with Kazuda and attack and then blank it again, you're going to make Kazuda lose abilities until he goes back to your leader zone. So just something to keep in mind. And also the heroic sacrifice and trench run, you need to activate Kazuda before you play those cards. It's very imperative. Otherwise, you're going to get the negative effects from those. And yeah, that's Kazuda. I had a lot of success with this deck. As I said, I won a store championship. I didn't lose a game in that tournament, so it was a little bit of luck, and actually it was a lot of luck drawing the right cards, matchups. There was a lot of good, very good players that I was able to defeat, and I was lucky to do so. But this deck is very solid. It's very fast, and I highly recommend it. And before I walk out, or before I step away, I just wanted to say thanks again for stopping by. Thanks very much for the support that you guys have given so far. And I'd also like to ask anybody to please subscribe, like the video, because it really helps out as I'm just starting off with Star Wars content. So thanks very much for stopping by. I really genuinely appreciate it. And I just wanted to say, may the Force be with you. Have a good day, everyone.